that what I thought would probably be a 30-minute situation turned into 7 months. So um I'm in Norfolk custody. I'm given a uniform, and you go through the procedure and sitting in a holding cell and all that other little crazy stuff. And um, I'm like, can I get a phone call? Can I call somebody or anything? And they like, no. And I'm like, I need to make a phone call and let them know where I'm at, like the base, like, because I'm letting them know that I'm in the military. Like I'm talking to as many people as I could possibly talk to and letting them know that I'm in the military, and I need to contact the base to let them know. But then I actually asked for my property, because at that time, like, and you know how it is even now, like you got cell phones and people don't even know numbers off their head. So I'm like, can I get my property so I can actually use my phone and you get this number? And they like, no, we can't do that, blah blah blah. So I'm just there. So
At that point, did you know exactly what you were being held for?
no, it still wasn't clear. Like but because initially what they told me is that it would probably take about 30 minutes. Like you write this statement, you can get out of here. And that's what I expected. To me, it was nothing because it had already been taken care of. I didn't even know that the charges were sitting there. So I was expecting this stuff to never even come up. So I'm still unsure. I don't know what's going on. Being in the military, I'm thinking like, okay, like I'm down here. They gonna contact the military. The military will come and get me, and then I'll come to court, like like regular people do. But what ended up happening is I ended up sitting in the holding cell, going through the whole procedure and getting the black and white suit and all of that other stuff, and um, going into jail. And the next time I seen the military was 3 months later. Actually seen my attorney before then, but when I went to see the what is it, an arraignment, the judge, I remember the judge telling me like I needed an attorney, and I was like, he was like, but dude, would you like to waive your rights to an attorney? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, no, I don't know if you know how serious this is. Like, I'm gonna attach an attorney to your case and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll take an attorney. If you think it's that important that I need an attorney, then I'll take the attorney. So he attached the public defender to the case. And the public defender's name was Sadler. I'll never forget him. His name was Sadler. And he actually came and seen me, I think 2 months into the time that I was there. And when Sadler came in, he took me into, he brought me out of the cell and took me into like some little private room. And I remember sitting with him, and he asked me, he introduced himself and told me who he was and everything. And I told him, before I even speak to him, I just wanted to know, like, I wanted to ask him a couple of questions. And he said, that's fine. Like, what questions do you have? And I said, do you believe in God? And he was like, yeah, I believe in God. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I got another question. He was like, okay, like what's the question? I said, do you believe in Christ? He's like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was, you know, aligned, and and we was on one accord before we go into this courtroom together. And that's what I was really focused on at that time. So it was really important that I made sure that I was being represented properly, because I know how these situations go where they attach these public defenders to someone's case and then they get railroaded. Sadler was about business. So he went straight into it. He said, okay, so tell me what happened that day. And I went on to explain the story to him. He was like, did the officer ever tell you why he pulled you over? I was like, yes, I actually asked. And he was like, what did he tell you? I said, he told me he randomly ran my tags. It's like, oh, okay. And I was like, I asked him if that was legal. He was like, yeah, it's legal, but it's questionable, but it's legal. I was like, oh, okay. So he was continue. So I continued to tell him the story, and he was like, so how long did you have the car? And I was like, I had it for about a couple of months before we went out. I think I had it probably 3 months prior to the deployment. He was like, did you drive it anywhere? I was like, yeah, I went home. Like, I drove it to Chicago, and when I got back to Virginia, I drove it to to Georgia, and then I came back. And he was like, okay, so uh, if you had, he said you had it for 3 months. He was like, did you have a license? I was like, no, I didn't have a license. I was like, my license got suspended. So he was like, oh, okay. So he was like, so your license was suspended. So you had like temporary tags. And I was like, yes. So he's like, because you can't get another. He's like, you can't get a hard tag if your license is suspended. I was like, right. He said, so if you had it for that amount of months, then you had to go back to the dealer. And because I went, yeah, and I was like, yeah, I had to go back to the dealer, import center. I actually purchased it from an import center. And I went back up there and I asked him for another set of temporary tags so that I could ride it until we left. And they gave me another set of temporary tags. So he was like, when you got back, did you have temporary tags? I was like, yes, I had temporary tags when I got back. I actually put it in storage. I explained the situation to him. And he was like, okay, so he told you he randomly ran your tags. I was like, yeah. He was like, so what would you get if you randomly ran like temporary tags? And I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? He was like, if you ran temporary tags, what would you get from it? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. He was like, nothing. You can't run temporary tags. And I was like, oh, sure. I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea. He told me, don't worry about it. He was like, what's going to happen? He's like, the officer is going to come in. He's going to lie. Like, he told me that then. Like, the officer is going to come to court and he's going to lie. But because he because he said he randomly ran your tags and you had temporary tags, he may have to bring them in. So he was like, just don't worry about anything. Just, I'll have everything prepared. So he took me back to my cell. And at that point, I think at that point is when I had clarity of exactly what happened. Like, I didn't really get the fact, like, how serious that it was. Even to a point that an officer would lie. Like, I didn't know, like, how crazy that was. But court day come up. I think it's about my 3rd month in, and I go to court. At that point, I'm in the black and white uniform, and I got Bantu twist in my head, and beard is kind of growing out. I'm looking a little rough. And I go in, and I really don't say much. The judge spoke, good morning or whatever. Good morning. And the attorney took it from there. And basically what happened is the officer changed the story and said that he noticed that my tags were altered. So that's why he pulled me over. And the attorney was expecting it. So the attorney was prepared for it. And the judge was prepared for it. Oddly, like, the judge was prepared for it. Once this story came up that the tags were altered, the judge asked for the tags because the tags are evidence at that point. So he gave or passed the plates up to the front to the judge. The judge looked at him, and the judge kind of made a joke like, Mr. Howse, you must be some type of artist because I can't tell that these tags are altered from here. Like, I got the tags in my hand. He was like, I can't tell that they're altered, but he passed them back to the officer, and then he proceeded to ask the officer a few questions. So he said, Officer Decker, that's his name. He said, Officer Decker, so you noticed that his tags were altered. Did you notice? When did you notice? Like, was he riding past you? And he was like, yes, he noticed when I was in motion. So the judge was like, hold on. So about how far was he away from you? He said about 15 to 20 feet. And he was like, okay, so Officer Decker, he was like, you wear glasses, correct? He said, yes. He said, they're prescriptive. He's like, did you have your glasses on? He was like, no, he didn't. Yeah. He's like, so you expect me to believe that you noticed that these tags that I just had in my hand, that I couldn't tell were altered in my hand. You expect me to believe that you could see, you can see that this tag was altered while this vehicle was in motion 15 to 20 feet away from you. So the judge just was like, you expect me to believe that a 60-year-old, so he went into this thing like where he was basically breaking the situation down to him. And then he went into, you know, in being a judge, he's to trust the police to bring in the truth. He's supposed to trust the police to come in and bring the story truthfully. And he was like, it's no way that I'm going to believe that a 60-year-old man who wears prescriptive glasses, who wasn't wearing his prescriptive glasses, could actually see that this tag was altered while in motion 15 to 20 feet away from him. Like, that's unbelievable. So the judge then goes on to turn it to give his attention to me. He turned his attention to me and just was like, like, Mr. Howse, look, this is what happened. He's like, he was like, you were pulled over with no probable cause. He actually explained it to me because I didn't even really know this terminology. Like it kind of threw me off. But he said it was no probable cause for the pullover. And he basically went on to explain to me. He said, listen, I don't care if you drove for the rest of your life with no license, suspended license, no license. He is like, if an officer pulls you over, he has to have a reason to pull you over. It was no reason, and it's clear that there's no reason why this officer pulled you over. Like, this officer had no reason to stop you. No reason to stop you at all. So he went on to discredit the officer. He told him, because at the time I was active duty in the military, he told the officer that he was a disgrace. He was a disgrace to the police force, and that I fight for the country and I shouldn't be getting treated like this. And he went on to slam him a little bit in court. Like, that was the first time I ever seen anything like that. And honestly, the fact that I probably said 3 words at the most and sitting in that hearing, like, it just tripped me out. And I still didn't, like, I walked out of that courtroom not knowing exactly what's going on. But the judge dismissed everything associated outside of the fact that the tag was altered and gave me like a $50 fee or something like that. And he was like, what exactly is going on with you? Like, what do I need to do to get you out of here? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And he was like, I'm gonna do all that I can today to get you out of here. So he had dismissed everything and I guess did all that he could do as far as that case was concerned, but it really wasn't the case. So I'm going, after the judge do all of what he do, I'm going back, and I'm thinking like I'm getting out this day. Like I'm thinking I'm going home. So I'm walking to the back, and I just tell my attorney flat out, like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, he like, do you know what's happening? I was like, I don't know what's going on. He is like, well, I'm gonna tell you what's going on. Like, he dismissed everything, and this is this. He was explaining. He was like, listen, when you get out of here, contact me. We're gonna get lost wages. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get that. He was telling me all of what I could get back for all of the time spent in there. Again, it was 3 months, and again, it was 3 months prior to the end of my enlistment. So I didn't really know what was going on. One of the things that I did leave out is the first time that I actually seen the military was at that point. That day that I went to court, that was the first day that I actually seen the military. And this guy walked over right before court and handed me a piece of paper. And didn't say nothing, but just handed me a piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, it says that your car will be auctioned off. I still got that paper to this day. I still was awaiting these court dates for the failure to appear in court. So the failure to appear in court was in Virginia Beach, that I remember, and Newport News, because I ended up being transferred to Virginia Beach. And being in Virginia Beach, like you basically got to go through the whole process again, getting this orange jumpsuit, and so I'm over in Virginia Beach waiting, for court. And I go to court, and that situation goes its way, and then they somehow ran the time congruent or something like that. And then they transferred me back to Norfolk. I go back to Norfolk, and then Norfolk transfers me back, or it transfers me out to Newport News, where the other ticket, I guess, was at, and or the other court date was at. So I go out there and wait, get to court. They ask, the typical questions of, and I tell them any chance I get, I'm telling them about the fact that I'm in the military and I've been sitting in here this long, blah blah blah. So I ended up getting out in March 9th of the following year. So 7 months, get out, don't have anything, lost your career. Uh, Actually, I was discharged from the military. Um, Basically started over, lost my property, car was auctioned off, everything. Like so, basically started my life over at 27 years old. That's the story.